what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Guitar Talk with Todd here at Todd Beebe Music. Thanks so much for checking in. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. I really appreciate it. Find us on Facebook at Todd Beebe Music. We always have a lot of things going on here. I do a lot of setups on guitars. Private owners bring them in for me to show. We got artist interviews, lessons going on. So please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Today we have a 2007 Gibson Les Paul. This is a 1958 reissue, but this is a real special edition. This is the Warren Haynes model Gibson put out, inspired by the series that it was called, that they did these on. These first came out in 2007, and they did a total run of about 300 of them. So let's talk about Warren Haynes for a little bit. Started out playing with David Allan Coe, went on to play with the Dickie Betts band, and then Dickie brought him into the Allman Brothers band when they did their reunion and their 20th anniversary shows in 1989. And then Warren went on to play on the albums, you know, Seven Turns, Shades of Two Worlds, Where It All Begins, and then they had two live albums there as well. And Warren also formed his own band, Government Mule, which I know many of you are familiar with. I was lucky enough to catch that band many times over the years and spend a lot of time with Warren. I saw Government Mule in the early days when they first hit. There was probably 10 people in the place. And Warren and Alan Woody and Matt Apps would just come in and destroy the place. I mean, they'd go for broke and play like their lives depended on it. And there was 10 people standing there. They'd have, you know, the amps cranked up and just destroyed it was some of the best shows I've ever seen. Was around Warren quite a bit, and just a phenomenal guy and a phenomenal player. So if anyone is deserving of a model from Gibson with their own signature name on it, it is certainly Warren. He has earned that right. One of the best players and vocalists, writers. The guy's a triple threat all around, and one of the best to come out ever. And certainly, if you look back over the course of the last 30 years in music or whatever, guys that have really, you know, no BS, just a straight up guy with the music, no fluff or anything. And Warren's at the top of that list for me, and I'm sure many of you too. But anyway, let's take a look at this thing. It's a beautiful model. We're going to get some real close-ups in the case like we always do and talk about it more. Just looking at it close up, it is a VOS finish. And you've got some typical things here that you'd have on a 1958 reissue. Got the Gibson logo, Les Paul silkscreen, truss rod cover with no writing on it, the extra thick white outline that you would have on a 58. Trapezoid inlays with the rosewood fingerboard. We've got Burstbucker 1 and 2 pickups going on, these humbuckers in here. They call this color right here a Haynes Burst. Warren picked this out. I remember reading an article with him at the time these were released, and he said he went through all these old Sunburst pictures, just, you know, hundreds of them, and he found one that, and he's like, that's the one. And it's, you know, kind of between like a darker burst or an iced tea and what you would call the lemon burst. So it's got like the darker tint up here and more of the yellow in the center. This is what you'd call a plain top. There's not a whole lot of flame on it. Warren, you know, wanted it this way. I remember when it came out, a lot of guys questioned that. They were like, wow, I would thought Warren would have had a heavily flamed. I thought that was kind of cool that he did that, because he went against what everybody kind of thought he was going to do. You know, it's typical 58, 59, 60. Oh, okay, we got the massive flame and the burst. Those are all great, but everybody and their brother has done that. So I thought it was kind of cool that Warren went with a plain top. And like I said, this particular burst is called the Haynes Burst. ABR 1, 2 pneumatic bridge, of course. Got the stop bar tailpiece, you know, volume, tone. a preamp buffer circuit here. Basically what this does, I'm going to show you kind of close up here. If I have it on, you can hear it right there. You can hear when I kicked it on, the switch is up. And what it does, Warren had this put on his, you can always tell his Les Pauls right away when you see that. When you're at lower volume and you're playing notes, it helps keep the sustain on longer than when you cut it. Now it's off. The sustain doesn't quite ring as long. He also put that on there, he said, for if you're running through a lot of different effects or even just a few, so you don't lose any signal in the chain. If you got, like, say, a few different pedals you're going through, flip this thing on and it will keep that signal a lot more alive and stuff. It runs on a 9-volt battery, which is inside the cavity control. I'm going to put some pictures up and explain all that more when we look at it in the case. And just a beautiful, beautiful guitar. You heard some of the clean tones right there. You know, these just came out fantastic. Like I said, they did 300 of these. I want to say like the first 150 came out around 2007, 2008. And then it was like 2010 or so, I started seeing the higher numbers coming out. Like I remember seeing over the 200s, and I've heard a rumor they did more than 300. I've never seen the highest number I've ever seen on these, and I've seen quite a few. Never was above 300, so I do believe it was only 300 that they made. Each one of them came with a certificate. I'm going to put a picture up of that too right now. It's signed by Rick Gembar and the team. You guys know I love them. That was doing all the great work there in right around this time, 2007, 2008. And Warren signed it as well. Every guitar went out with one of these. There was only 300 that I know of made, and then I know Warren has number 1 and number 2. Many times when you go see him, this is always one of his main guitars he plays. And like I said, when you're watching him, if you're like thinking, is that one of the guitars or not? Look for this thing right here, you know, between these two knobs, and right, oh, that's it. You can always tell that's like the giveaway that it's one of, you know, Warren's models. So he did some really cool things on this. Like I said, we'll get some more close-ups in the case. Even on the frets, normally you have the binding over the frets. He wanted the frets going over the binding, so there's no ends on these. It just goes right up over the top. They put the binding on, and then they put the frets on afterwards. So, you know, again, that was Warren's thing. He likes the feel of that. So it's all pretty much done to his specs, and it's VOS, so it's got the nice worn-in feel on the neck and stuff. Like I said, the clean tones sound fantastic. Even, of course, when you crank up these burst buckers, you get that nice creamy tone that Les Pauls are known for. The burst bucker here in the neck position. You got more bite, as always, on the bridge pickup. So just a fantastic series here, the Inspired By. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and get some close-ups of her in the case. Check her out. Here we go. Alright guys, so here is the case for the 2007 Gibson Les Paul 1958 reissue Warren Haynes model. This is definitely the period correct one at the time. I know we've got another one of these coming in later on. That was one of the later on ones. Like I said, they put the second run, which went over like the number 150 to 300. This one is under 150. But the ones that are above 150 that came out later in like 2010, they started putting them in the brown Lifton style cases. That's what the one has that's coming in. So it's pretty cool. This is one of the first runs, and they were still just putting them in the Gibson Custom case like this. So this is definitely the original case and period correct. Let's go ahead and open her up here. So like I said, beautiful Haynes Burst, they call that. And let's just kind of zoom in here on this top. Like I said, it is a plain top, so nothing really spectacular as far as like flame or anything. But I thought that was really cool that Warren did that, because I think everyone expected him to go for some heavily flamed 58, and he went with this. And like I said, this is kind of between an iced tea and more like a lemon burst. And this is, they actually call this finish Haynes Burst. He picked that out of a bunch of different sunbursts he was looking at with the different finishes, and that's the one he ended up liking. So zooming in close up here, there's a lot of different things on this guitar, so I want to kind of get into all of them here and not miss anything. As far as the pickups go, you got the two humbuckers here, Burst Bucker 1 and 2, that Gibson does such an awesome job, and Warren approved of these. They just sound spot on to, you know, what the original PAFs sounded like in the 58, 59, and 60 models. This is a 58 reissue with the vintage original spec stuff on it. So again, you can kind of see they put the wear look on there. You can see that on the pickup covers, and that's part of the VOS finish. I should point out, looking at the hardware here, that this is all Tone Pros. I didn't mention that earlier, but you can see you got the locking stop bar tailpiece here, and then you've also got the locking ABR1 from Tone Pros that Warren, again, wanted on there. This is something interesting, even on the 2-volume, 2-tone controls, you've got the bleeders, but they're flat. You can kind of see that there. And I thought that was cool. Warren did that purposely, so you've still got the bleeders, but they're not poking up if you don't want them. And if you did really want to, of course, you could be careful with this and get a tool under there and pry them up, and then you could have the classic look if you wanted it. But they came out of the factory like this, flat. It's how Warren wanted them, but you could always flip those up and make them like the classic look. But hey, they all look like that, so I think it's cool to leave this one like this because, you know, it's something different. There's that preamp gain buffer switch that I was talking about and using earlier. If it's up, it's on. If it's down, it's off. That runs on a 9-volt battery. Like I said, I'm going to put some pictures up on about that. I'll talk about that more when we get to the back inside the cavity control there. 3-way toggle switch, you know, typical stuff here with the rhythm treble and on the poker chip. Nothing really too different there. Rosewood fingerboard with the trapezoid inlays. Like I said, looking real close here, you can see the frets go over the binding there, not the other way around. Usually on a typical, you know, Les Paul, especially a 58 reissue or even current made ones, if they have binding right here, that's going to go over the end of the frets there. These fret ends you can actually feel. They go right up, so they put the binding on first, then they put the frets on. Warren likes that. He likes the feel of that, so that's definitely a signature element of his signature guitar, which this is, of course, too. Going up to the headstock here, like I said, typical what you would have on a 58 reissue. You've got the Gibson logo on there. You've got the Les Paul silkscreen logo above the nitrocellulose finish, just like they did in 58. And this is a 58 reissue. Got the truss rod cover with the extra thick binding there on the white, and you can kind of see those screws have like that brownish tint to them. That's definitely the VOS finish. We've talked about that before. It kind of replicates an aged look. I want to mention about this nut too. This is a bone nut that Warren likes on all of his guitars, and of course he requested that it be on his signature model. This, as opposed to, you know, Gibson normally will use Corian or something like that on their guitars, which works fine. I end up putting in like Big Ben's nut sauce all the time. You don't really need that if you have a bone nut. I still use it anyway to be safe, but a bone nut is, you know, self-lubricating, so it makes a huge difference with the strings not getting bound up in the slots. So this is definitely a bone nut on this model that Warren requested on his signature model. Let's flip her over and take a look at the back here. Okay, so here's the mahogany back. There is the cavity control to get into the volume and tone potentiometers. I'm not going to pull this open now, but I did earlier. I'm going to put some pictures up right now that just kind of shows this. There's a 9-volt battery in there. On this particular model, it was loose and just flopping around, and I think they did them all like that on the earlier series, and I was kind of like, wow. I was sort of a little bit amazed by that. At first I thought maybe it was just this model, but I've seen a few of these and they were all like that, the earlier runs. So what I did, as you can see, I put a piece of just duct tape down there. I stick the battery to it. And if I'm not playing this guitar for a long period of time, I just take the battery out anyway. I'm not really crazy about leaving a 9-volt inside the guitar in case it does leak or something like that. On the later models, like I said, we have one coming in that's in a lift-in case, and I think it was a 2010. They actually put like a foam cover, or casing rather, that you could put the 9-volt in. I'm going to put a picture of that up too. And that kind of helped it from just flopping around loose in the compartment there. I was kind of surprised they did that on these earlier models, but like I said, I just put a piece of tape on there and that takes care of that problem. Okay, so back to here, we got the mahogany back. There's your plate to get into the 3-way toggle switch. Actually, I have Shaler strap locks on here. Those came out of the factory like that. That's another Warren Haynes. You know, Warren uses Shaler, and he wanted those on all the guitars coming out. You can see the aged binding there, part of the VOS finish. That's like a beautiful darker finish too on that mahogany. That just looks awesome. All the way up here to the headstock. And this particular model is signed by Warren Haynes. Like I said, I've been around Warren a few times, and I had him sign the back of this one. So, you know, that was a real honor for me, and just really cool to have his signature on there. Kind of contemplated whether to get it done in black or in silver. I've had some guitars signed in black that are this dark before, and you almost can't see it. So I kind of thought that the, you know, silver would pop there, and it definitely does. That just looks great. And like I said, Warren's a super great guy. All right, so flipping back over to the front here, get one more shot of this. Like I said, it's just a beautiful instrument. Warren did some great things with this. He took a 58 reissue with the vintage original spec finish on it from the Gibson Custom Shop and just kind of hot rodded it with things like the Tone Pros hardware. Obviously the buffer preamp switch that he put in, that's probably the biggest thing. And then just the frets coming over the binding like that, and Shaler strap locks that he put on. And then, like I said, just little things like the bleeder pointers here being flat as opposed to up. It just is all different stuff. So it's definitely, you know, an obvious thing. You could tell that that's the Warren model. So there is a full case shot of her one more time. Alright guys, so there is the 2007 Gibson Les Paul Warren Haynes inspired by edition. Let's give her a test drive here. I'm going to play a little bit of Soul Shine type of a track. What is Soul Shine? That of course Warren wrote and is famous for with both the Allman Brothers and Government Mule. Definitely probably his most famous tune, I'm going to say, without a doubt. And I'm going to do like a blues backing track like I always do and play some slide too. Apologies to Warren. Warren's one of the best slide players out there, so I'm going to do my best to make this thing sing, but nobody can make it sing like Warren, that's for sure. But let's give her a test drive here and check her out. Here we go. So there is the 2007 Gibson Les Paul 58 reissue Warren Haynes edition from the Gibson Custom Shop, part of the Inspired By series. Like I said, they only did 300 of these. They are out there. You can find them on the used market, of course. Warren has number 1 and number 2. And it's really cool because they were built right to his specs. So when you're playing one of these and then you see Warren playing his on stage, it's not like, you know, he's got some different. I mean, that was the whole point of them putting these out. He's playing exactly what you're playing if you get one of these. So pretty cool. Really awesome guitars. I think they're great. Warren took a 58 reissue and kind of just, you know, put it on steroids and did some things here. And just really cool guitars. So thanks so much, you guys, for checking in. Once again, please hit that subscribe button down there in the lower right hand corner. I really appreciate it. Find us on Facebook at Todd Beebe Music. And thanks again, you guys. Check in. Once again, we'll have more guitar reviews, artist interviews, and lessons, all things guitar coming up here. So please be with us. Thanks so much, guys. Stay safe and love your dogs. We'll see you again. Take care.